Hi everybody, this is KoKo's dog training with our first video on this channel, and it's going to be about potty training. Hopefully this is straight. I don't know. So today we'll be talking about potty training as requested from one of my friends. So shout out to Sandy. That's what we're going to be doing today. So with puppies, you actually find them probably using the restroom a lot more than other, dogs. Older dogs past puppy stage doesn't necessarily mean they don't have to use the restroom more than 3 times. Like my dog Natsuko, she uses the restroom maybe about 4 or 5 times a day, and she's already 4 years old. So I kind of had to keep up with, how many times she needed to use the restroom. You do want to take your dog out at least 3 times. But it doesn't hurt to take them out a little bit more. Your dog giving you some signs, sometimes they'll kind of like walk around your legs, they'll kind of walk around you, walk around, the area that they usually need to go potty, if they need to go on like a potty pad, or if they hang around by the door, by the doggy door, and sometimes we have to pay attention, especially during those times, because they may be telling you like, hey, I kind of need to go, but I can't get outside. Listen to those and be able to take them outside before they make a mess inside the house. Sometimes we get so busy, we just want to take them outside, go potty, be done and over with, but we got to realize that our dogs are inside the majority of the time, unless if you have them outside. And when they get outside, they do want to be able to do things like sniff, they do want to be able to walk around, get that exercise in, which really we should be doing a lot more exercising, separately from, walking them to go potty. Just so that way they can get all of that extra energy out and they don't take anything else out with the furniture that's inside of your house. The bell on the door, you just tie like a little string on a bell, of course the ones that your dog can't really choke on. Got to be careful with that. You can attach it to your door and teach your dog to nudge at it, paw at it, so that way it can make the sound. Now I don't really have to use the bell. I just go ahead and take her out, whenever I feel like her, her potty pattern is. They may drink a little bit more water than other times too. Not excessive, but they may drink a little bit more water, and just like us, if we have like an extra drink on the side, we may need to use the restroom too. So that's not something that I would take out on your dog. If they drank a little bit more water, they exercised a little bit, then they had the little urge to go potty and they had made a mess on the floor, I would not really get upset at them for that. I would just be mindful of how much water that they drank, the signs that they give you, and actually watching and listening to your dog and making sure that you take them out before they make that mistake. Because most of the time our dogs are not really wanting to go potty inside the house, because they know that it's not a wanted behavior. I don't really think it's in their plans to really get in trouble. It just happens that way. Sometimes you find that they'll pee in areas where I guess you can say they get upset at. So like if you're late to take them out to go potty, sometimes they might just pee right by the door, or they might be peeing right at the entrance where you're at. If you're busy talking to somebody, they might pee at that same exact spot where they kind of barked at you, when they were trying to say, hey, I need to use the restroom, So we kind of have to be careful with that. If it's one of those things where you've left for the day, went to work and you came back to a house where there's pee spots on the floor, what I would recommend would be, management. Don't give them access to the full house. You want to be able to close the doors, close all the entrances and keep them in one general area, so in case that they do go, you don't have to worry about searching and finding wet spots all over the house, because that's nasty. And now if you do use potty pads, be careful, because with potty pads they sometimes can get used to the texture underneath their paw pads, and they might like the texture of the potty pads and will find other surfaces like it. So like the couch, for example, or pillows. I don't know why you would have a pillow on the floor, but just as an example, doormats is another one, sheets are another one for sure. They're very soft, they might feel comfortable and want to go in an area where it's soft like that. So if you use potty pads, I would try to say, it's not the worst thing to use, but it's also something that I wouldn't want to rely on completely, and you do want to try to wean off of that, or at least teach them how to use it. you know, for storm purposes. In case if that does happen where they pee on the floor, you do want to be able to get a spray that has an enzyme formula, and it's going to be able to break down the pee, and that's not going to leave any traces left of it. Because if there even is just a tiny little bit of, you know, urine left at a spot, they're going to be, you know, prone to go at that same spot again or in that general area. So it's good to try to nip it in the bud, make sure it's completely clean, and start from scratch on your potty training. If they need to go potty at least 3-4 times a day, we have to be there for them. Otherwise, there's going to be a mess on the floor, and that's not going to be on the dogs, that would be on us. Or you have a dog that's really excited and they start peeing on the floor. With that, I would just enter through the door, you know, in a very quiet manner, calm manner as well. And try to get your dog to be mellow while they come to the door. It's going to take a couple of tries before you can kind of get them to relax a little bit. But, you know, it's not that you're taking away the excitement of being home from them. You know, you're still home. They're still going to be excited. But, you know, you're just going to kind of calm that just a little bit. So that way they don't pee at the front door. If you have a dog that's excessively peeing, you know, in spots where they're sleeping at, spots where they rest at, sleep at, or, you know, everything like training and taking them outside at a timely manner and being able to scheduleize it has not been working for you. If it gets to be very concerning, I would definitely recommend taking them to the veterinarian. Your analysis, ask you a couple of behavioral questions to see if your dog is acting the way that they normally do, and they'll be able to kind of tell whether or not there may be some sort of underlying issue that is causing your dog to go potty, you know, everywhere, or just, you know, in their sleeping area. Because if they potty and, you know, they defecate in their sleeping area, that's not really what the dogs really try to do anyways, because they like to keep their sleeping areas clean. So if you kind of see that happening way more often, you know, than usual, or it just had started, you know, the dogs don't necessarily have to be really, really old for that to happen. But, you know, you do see it a lot with older dogs, you know, with like incontinence and things like that. But I wouldn't put it past me to think maybe, you know, like a dog that's like middle age as well too, because you never know. Each dog is different, and I'm not a veterinarian, so I'm just letting you know, in case of things like that does happen, you definitely want to take them into a veterinarian, so that way they can go ahead and take a look at the issues through a medical side instead of more of like a behavioral issue. Because in that case, it's not something that you can really change behavioral wise, because that's just your dog's body, and you want to make sure that your dog's body is functioning well too. Put on the notifications button to be able to see whenever I post things. I'll try to post things weekly. Probably not gonna happen. Probably try to post things actually maybe bi-weekly. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that point where we can do things weekly. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Comment, like, and subscribe. God bless.